Hi, everybody. I'm Mari-Lyn. This is the Conscious Spirit Podcast. Oh, no. No. Okay. No. It's okay. Hey, everybody. I'm Mari-Lyn. This is the Conscious Spirit Podcast. You know, I have noticed very recently that even though I am sober over 12 years, I've done so much healing over the years, but there are certain things that I have not changed my perspective on. And there's a real vibrational mismatch between a perspective that I carried when I was actively drinking and the vibration that I try to carry today. And it's really hard to carry a perspective from back then and maintain this vibration. And, you know, Pam and I have talked about it before, how lower vibrations are so easy to grab onto and to wallow in. And the higher vibrations are really difficult, sometimes to even achieve, let alone maintain. So I've been like in this struggle. And I've been talking to Spirit a lot the last few days. And I finally got an answer. I can't say the answer because I know that there's more perspectives that I'm going to have to shift. But one of the perspectives towards myself was around my codependency. You know, during my active drinking, especially at the end, I'd had a lot of family loss and I did not deal well. I did not. I leaned in to the comfort that alcohol gave me and chasing that comfort because it didn't work. I didn't get it. Instead of comfort, I was at the point where it just drew me deeper and deeper into my grief, into my despair. And, you know, and then, you know, pretty soon came the end. Thank you. But what hit me today, and it brought me to tears, it hit me so deeply, was that I am still holding on to the shame of codependency. I'm still holding on to a vibrational element of what it meant to be codependent at that time. And when I was actively in my drinking, and this area that I'm going to talk about is specifically after the death of my oldest sister. And it was her children that I became very codependent with. Not by any fault of their own, but out of my grief, out of my lack of self-love and that need. Part of me thought I had to replace what I lost, but I didn't lose the love of my sister. I didn't lose loving her. I just lost the physical aspect of her. And their mother. So, in this weird, twisted kind of thing, I could lean into my codependency and think I'm doing everybody a favor, which I wasn't, which leads me to the perspective. The codependency that I experienced in my drinking had so much resentment attached to it. Because I knew I was going about the wrong way to fill a need. I resented myself. I resented the other people. And when I finally got sober, realized how codependent I was, it took a while. I mean, there's don't get me wrong, there is the whole period of time of actually getting out of active alcoholism. Yes, I made that choice and I didn't relapse. But it takes time to adjust to a new way of life without alcohol, as I'm sure it does any substance that alters us. There's that period of time before you can even begin to start looking at those deep things like codependency. So, years go by, and then I start realizing it and working on it and changing my behaviors. Some of my perspectives, sure, those changed along the way. But the ones towards myself, I don't think they ever did. And so I was punishing myself energetically for being so codependent, punishing myself for taking away lessons of other people, by jumping in and helping and, maybe stepping across the line of where I became an enabler in my codependency. And that happens. What Spirit brought to me today that touched me so deeply is I can now change my perspective from one of punishment, shame, disdain, embarrassment, to seeing the truth. The truth of, yes, I was codependent. I was trying to get a need met. I was trying to fill a need that someone else had. And while I may have interrupted their lessons, I didn't rob them of their lessons, because their lessons are still theirs to learn and to figure out. I created more obstacles for them, possibly. There's no way of knowing. Their own free will, right? I have no idea of knowing what their free will would have done. But the lessons I learned through all that codependency, and the lessons that as I heal further, I can share with them and with others. But what really touched me was the lessons that I can reflect back on and share with these adults who are still finding their way, to where I don't have to jump in anymore. I don't have to get that need met. I don't have to fill their need like I used to. I am absolutely in their corner, 100%. Except for those times when they aren't in their corner. And by that, I mean when they're not doing, no, I can't say that. When they're purposefully doing stupid shit, I'm still in their corner saying, what are you doing? No, are you looking at the whole picture? Do it if you want to, but this is what I see, X, Y, and Z. But when they are doing A, B, and C, and they're doing everything that they can, and they're struggling, and I am asked for help, absolutely I am there. And what Spirit showed me was that I can lean into the old relationship to bring that forward and help everybody learn bigger lessons in that. So changing the perspective to one of, I guess, gratitude and seeing it differently than just beating the shit out of myself for old behavior, because it's past and I can't change it. So yeah, cannot change the past. I can only change moving forward. And that perspective just, I don't know, it just gave me such freedom to look at things differently now and to move out of that low vibration of beating myself up into a higher vibration of acceptance of what was, and looking at the lessons that came from it and the lessons that are yet to come from it. Because I have a lot of life ahead of me, right? Yes. And there are situations that I've not experienced yet, and I don't know how that codependent thread might hit me in different situations. But I can use my past experience now, instead of going to that place of self-beratement, I can go to that place of, lesson. Hello, red-tailed hawk. There's a red-tailed hawk flying above me. And a hummingbird just flew by. Yes, we get red-tailed hawks in this area, but holy smokes, never have I seen one just fly in a circle above me. It's gorgeous. It's absolutely, absolutely gorgeous. So, if anybody listening, you feel called to look up red-tailed hawk for its spiritual meaning, do it. Go ahead and do it, because I bet you will find something that resonates with you. I will for sure be looking it up when I finish. There is this feeling of visibility, of clarity, of seeing the bigger picture, which is exactly what my message was in this perspective shift. Opening up the picture to see the bigger picture and stop having such narrow tunnel vision on anything. I've been guilty of tunnel vision. You've heard me talk with Pam a lot about my black and white thinking. If black and white thinking doesn't take you down a tunnel, well, I don't know what does. opening up all perspectives to more than just the one that you instantly see. It's like, the football stadium. Every seat has a different perspective of the football game. There's only one game being played. However, for every seat that there's a person, it's a different perspective. So, in reality, there are thousands of football games being played right now because no two people are going to see excuse me, no two people are going to see it in the same way, nor are they going to filter it through the same experience. So perspective is a piece of the puzzle, but it's not the whole puzzle. And this is one of the downsides, right, of trying to do this outside because the wind's blowing and I got hair in my face. But I was sitting out here and Spirit was talking to me and I just, okay, let's do it. When we have a very narrow perspective on anything, but especially ourselves, the limiting factors that we put in place, the blocks that we put in place, the walls that we put in place, it's, they just showed me a picture of like an escalator, right? A moving staircase. But we have certain perspectives that a step's missing. So it prevents us from getting to the next one. Because, if one step is missing, that's a pretty big leap. And we usually, when we're expanding and moving forward, learning anything, we really can't go to step R until we have finished step F. There is that progression of things, and trying to skip steps doesn't work very well. And sometimes that's what a perspective is. When it's too narrow, it limits how much growth we can experience. It limits how much forward moving we can experience, especially when those perspectives are old and were carried by a person that we aren't anymore. Yeah. So that was just really, really profound for me in opening up perspective. And perspective is something that, I think in Thursday messaging, I think perspectives have come up a number of times. Pam and I are always talking about perspectives and expectations. They kind of go hand in hand. Whew, man. Because when you carry a perspective that is very narrow, with that comes expectation. You expect things to go a certain way. And when we carry that energy of that expectation, we unknowingly can shift things to turn out just that way. Sometimes it is very knowingly. Sometimes we use that as a way to manipulate the situation, to manipulate other people. We have this perspective and this expectation, and I know what I want, and so I'm going to start steering the boat, and I am going to try to manipulate the players. I was going to say that's some codependency right there, but it's also so many different things. So I'm not going to put a label on that. But we can really shift the energies towards meeting our expectations. So if our perspective is bigger and it's opened up, and we're giving spirit room to work within our lives and with these in these situations, those expectations aren't going to drive us to manipulate anybody. And we can operate from a more authentic version of who we are, operate within our true belief system with whatever it is that we're working on or working toward, working with whomever we're working with. Yeah. So perspectives, expectations. Oh man. So the perspective that I carried toward myself with codependency, there would be this expectation of enabling, this expectation of what are they going to ask for and how am I going to respond. And I can see very clearly now how I would manipulate the scenario so I had more control over the expectation. And I tell you what, sometimes that made things so much more difficult for myself than it would have been had I just stayed out of it until I was asked and then resentfully said yes and gone through, that whole scenario. Preemptively being codependent so you can control more of the outcome, that is some sick and twisted manipulation right there. Guilty. I've done it. I have done it, and I can even see now, I've done it in sobriety. I've done it in healing. And now I have a bigger picture to look at. So when scenarios start coming up and that thread of codependent behavior pops its ugly head up, I now have more perspectives to look at to be able to say, wait a minute, hold on, back up, take a minute, and do you even belong in this scenario? No, maybe I need to just stay in my own backyard and allow what is going to transpire to transpire. I do not need to be in control. I don't need to be in control of anything but me. Now you might say, yes, that's what I was doing. I was controlling me. I was controlling the outcome, but I was making it worse. I was digging in my heels so I could be even more codependent than I even would have been otherwise. I know that was really kind of convoluted without giving you any context, but I don't need to share the details, because speaking in general terms, it allows you to put your own scenario in your own story. I am not the only one that experiences, and whether it's codependency or some other, weird behavior, I do not have the corner market on it. Nor do alcoholics. People in general We all have these areas in our life. Some of us just allow it to take over more areas than others. But keep in mind, opening up your perspective to everything, to everything. I really, really am hopeful that I am going to be able to carry this knowledge of an expanded perception. I wonder how many times I've said that word. Anyway, that's what the whole video is about. So of course I'm saying it a lot. But I want to carry this new knowledge with me at all times. And when I forget, I hope I remember. I hope I can trigger myself into, oh yeah, my perspective has gotten so narrow. I'm only seeing this much. Open it up. And you know, if you do that, put your hands, you can put them around your, I like to put it right here. So like they're like right in front of my eyes. So I'm getting like very little vision in between my hands. And as you start opening up and everything becomes bright and big and expansive and possible, oh man, if you do that and you don't experience that sense of, I mean, yes, maybe I'm going a little overboard, but if there isn't an aha of, oh yeah, I get it, let me know. And I'm sorry, because even if you, now granted, I am outside, it's beautiful, it's sunny day, I am facing a bright white fence. And so, you know, as I open up, that brightness, it's just illuminating everything. But I want to say it doesn't matter where you are. If you are open to that expansion, and that little exercise of opening your hands up will allow you to experience it. Yeah. I'd love to know if you were able to experience that feeling of clarity and expansion, if you do that little exercise. That is also something, if you did experience that sense of opening up, that's something that you can incorporate into a daily routine. Maybe that's something you start doing in the mornings, of opening up yourself to the day, opening yourself up to the possibilities, to a higher vibration. Excuse me. I think that is something I'm going to start incorporating into my mornings as a reminder to open up to more perspectives, to new perspectives. How many times have you had a conversation with somebody and you've given your point of view and you've explained it, and the other person doesn't agree, and they start explaining their point of view and their reasons, and you end up having a conversation where you each understand the other person's point of view, and there's even points in there where you're going, oh, I never thought of it that way, and you start thinking about things in a whole new way. That's exactly what this is just opening up to a different way of looking at things, looking at everything. Not in a way, this is not to be used to go hide on a pink cloud, not to be used to like stuff all that crap down and bury it again, but to open yourself up to more possibility, to more healing, to more clarity and visibility, to open yourself up to more growth and to new experiences. Even if it is a repeated experience with a different perspective, it can feel brand new. Yeah. And with that, I am going to say goodbye. I really hope this was thought-provoking for you. Please like, subscribe, share all of that great YouTube stuff. If you want to know more about us or to schedule a service, our website is tcseverydaypsychics.com. Sorry, I am really excited to move forward with this new energy. My vibration today has not been anywhere near where it is right now. Thank you for letting me be a part of your day and for sharing this with you. Take care, everybody. Bye.